The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey there, MYM Insiders. How you doing today? This is Rich Harshaw, and we are here for our strategic marketing webinar covering a topic that, as far as I know, is not really covered anywhere else. It's called pre-customer service. And this is one of my favorite topics. I started thinking about it about 3 or 4 years ago and wanted to sort of coin the phrase officially, so I did. And I own this phrase, so if you ever use it, you owe me a nickel. But you know what? I'll forgive the first $50 worth of usage. Pre-customer service is simply this. It's doing something for your customers before they become your customers so that they'll be more likely to want to become your customers later. Sounds pretty simple, but I'll give you a couple scenarios. I was doing a speaking engagement last year for a franchise called Computer Troubleshooters. They're a franchise of several, what are these guys? They do like IT support, and they fix your network and stuff like that, computer repair. And they're franchise, and they've got guys all over the country. And we had put together for them a mailing campaign that was designed to take advantage of the concept of accelerated discontentment. Now, just a little bit of detail here to help you understand this, and don't get bored right off the bat because I'm telling you a story about a company that's not yours. Hopefully this will make some sense. This is a pretty interesting scenario. Their guys were segmented into territories based on number of businesses within a given territory, and I think they had something like a grand total of 2,500 businesses in each franchisee's territory that they could sell to. And within that 2,500, they could segment different types of businesses that were most likely to be a good fit for their services. Law offices, engineering firms being two off the top of my head that I remember that were really good fit for them. So we started talking about developing lists and doing mailings, and we put together a series of about 10 mailers. And so they had about something like 25 or 30 guys that participated in this mailing campaign, and predictably they came back after about the 3rd or 4th mailing, and then again after the 10th mailing, and they said, this is a miserable flop. It doesn't work. We sent out all these mailers and we didn't get any calls. And I went to them and said, well, what do you mean it's a miserable failure? Well, we didn't get calls. You didn't get any calls? Well, we got some, but we got very few, not enough to justify the expense of the mailer. And I looked at that and thought, is that really a fail? And the answer is, if you understand the concept of accelerated discontentment, and there's some concepts that we're going to go over here today in terms of lifetime value of your customer and understanding exactly what your numbers are so that you know exactly how much money you can afford to spend to accrue a customer, it was anything but a fail, but it was a classic case of giving up far too soon as they started to prime the pump to get these customers to come through, because you have to look at it and think about the situation. If you're a company that needs computer support and computer repair, you've got one of two situations that is probably presently happening. Number one is you've got somebody on your staff that handles it. It's either the guy that happens to be kind of good with tech stuff, or a tech guy that they've hired, a real tech guy, or the second scenario is they already have another company that does it and they don't need a new company to do it because they've already got somebody that comes in and does that stuff. Either way, it's extraordinarily difficult to root out the existing competitor, whether it's an internal competitor or an external competitor. It's very difficult to root those out because these are relationships and these are habits that they've developed over a long period of time, and we certainly wouldn't expect that after a postcard and a half or 2 or even 10 that behavior would start to change. And if you understand anything about the concept of accelerated discontentment, and by the way, if you don't, attend my strategic marketing webinar next month, and we'll go over it in detail. If you understand accelerated discontentment, you know that it's going to take some time, and we've got to start priming the pump now. Well, here's why I'm telling you this story, because they became frustrated. They said it doesn't work. I told them it's going to take time, lots of time, and you need to commit to it, and you need to spend money that you can afford to lose up front, but it will come back to you later. They all gave up. But I went to speak to them at their conference, and this was after the mailing campaign had already failed, which I was a little bit surprised that they had even asked me to come speak at their conference, given the fact that their mailing campaign, in their opinion, had quote-unquote failed. Nevertheless, there I was speaking, And so I took the opportunity to reaffirm to them the concept of accelerated discontentment, to show them how and why it works, to help them understand that this is a long-term commitment and that there's extreme value in building value within your prospect base and building value in that mailing list by getting repeat, ongoing, consistent contact so that these people know who you are. And I said, if you do that, you can expect that over time, you'll start to accrue new customers. And the customers were very, very valuable in their case, the ones that they were targeting. I said, however, don't just sit back and send the mailers. If you want to accelerate the accelerated discontentment, so now we've got accelerated squared discontentment, I said you need to also engage in some pre-customer service activities. Don't just sit back and passively wait for your mailers to work. Also, because of the nature of your list, because the fact that you've got such a small quantity of people on your list, and because of the fact that we can segment and define and figure out who the most likely prospects are, we need to get out there and we need to implement some pre-customer service strategies, things that we can be doing actively for these people before they become our clients, that's going to make them more willing and able and wanting to come on board and do business with us at some point in the future, hopefully the near future, but maybe the medium or long-term future. It just depends. But don't neglect to send the mailers, and in the case of today's webinar, don't neglect to implement pre-customer service strategies, because they're going to accelerate the accelerated discontentment. I want you to keep that in mind. I'm going to go over some very definitive principles here, and then I'm going to give you a bunch of different formats. I think 9 different ways you can implement pre-customer service. Now, I got this idea also. I was in Idaho. This was a few years ago, and I go there every summer for vacation. My in-laws there, and it's just beautiful in the summertime. You may not be familiar with Idaho, and you might think, oh, Idaho, what's in Idaho? I'll tell you what's in Idaho. Beautiful, beautiful weather, outdoor stuff to do, mountains and rivers and all kinds of cool stuff up there. So I was up there, and I was out doing a jog one morning, and as I was jogging, this kid came riding by on his bike. No big deal, right? But it was an unusual bike because he was riding a bike that was pulling a trailer, and in the trailer was lawn mowing equipment. And in that lawn mowing equipment, he had a mower and a weed eater, and I think he had a gas can, probably an edger, a broom, blower, who knows. I didn't pay that. I didn't inventory his trailer, but that was the kind of stuff he had in it. And I remember getting the thought as I was jogging along, looking at him, and I went, wow, I wonder how this kid gets business, because that's always what's going through my mind. I'm a marketing guy. You know, does he put out flyers? Does he use word of mouth? Does he guilt his parents' friends into doing it? Does he, what does he do? Does he knock on doors? How does he get business? And I thought, wow, you know what a really cool way for this kid to get business would be? It would be for him to go around and make notes of who is getting their lawn cut from different kinds of people. So number 1, who has an existing lawn service, number 1. And number 2, who's mowing their lawn themselves. And he could go around and he could pitch a little bit different depending on how they were currently doing it. And that would take some observation skills, and that might take some time. You say, well, I don't know if you'd want to spend that much time, but what if you could have all of your business, if you're a kid with a lawnmower, within about a 2 square blocks? You could take some time and you could figure this out. But nevertheless, beyond that point, here's what I thought he should do. He should go up to the doors, knock on the doors, and say, hey, Mr. Johnson, my name's Steve, and as you can see, I have lawn mowing equipment, and I'm as a matter of fact, now this gets into positioning and identity, I am, in fact, the world's greatest 13-year-old lawnmower. So set the standard kind of high. Now, hopefully he can deliver on this. I don't really know if he can or not. But here's the real point. Not that he's the world's greatest, but here's the point. What I'd like to do for you, Mr. Johnson, I'd like to mow your lawn today absolutely free of charge. In fact, it is absolutely free of charge. I refuse to accept any payment, any tips, any kind of compensation whatsoever. The reason I want to mow your lawn free of charge is I want you to see what I can do. I want you to understand how good my quality is. I want you to see that even though I'm 13 years old, I can do a great job. My normal price for a lawn of your size and magnitude is going to be $40 or $25 or $60, whatever it would be. I can mow it at any interval you want. I can mow it every 3 days. Once a week is typical. Sometimes people only want to pay for it every 10 days, every 2 weeks, or I'll even be willing to do it on rare occasions when maybe you don't have time to do it yourself or you're out of town on vacation, whatever the case may be. But I want to do it for you for free today so you can see. And see if you get somebody to take you up on this. Now, you'll see here in a minute how this formula is going to work. but this is where I really got thinking. If a kid with a lawnmower could make that pitch, and I want everybody here to think, if that happened to you and the kid came up to your lawn and he made that pitch, what is the likelihood that you would let him mow your lawn for free? And the answer is it's going to be about 80% take rate. Why? Because it's just a good setup. And then how many of these people are going to be favorably impressed to want to hire this kid even on either on a regular basis or on a substitution basis? Again, don't feel like it didn't have time, have a special event, going out of town, whatever the case is. And who's going to hire him to do it? Even if they have their own kids doing it, well, when you're out of town, you need somebody else to do it, right? So it's an interesting strategy, and I thought, well, how could other businesses implement this? So let's talk about this a little bit after that build-up. I've told you two stories, one about a kid with a lawnmower, another one about a franchise of guys that go out and do computer repair. And let's keep those in mind as we look through pre-customer service. Here's what we're going to cover. I'll talk about what it is. I think we've kind of covered that already. This is the key thing that you've got to understand. We can't do pre-customer service unless we have the right mindset, because you'll think it's too expensive, you'll think it's too much effort, you'll think it's too much trouble and too much problem, and you won't want to do it. So I'm going to give you the right mindset, and then I'm going to keep reviewing that mindset over and over and over until you kind of hate me a little bit for going over it so much. That's okay. I'm going to give you 8 pre-customer service strategies. I think there's actually 9, but it says 8. I'm not sure. We'll have to see when we get there. And then implementing it for your business. I'm going to give you several examples as we go through the 8 pre-customer service strategies, and I think we'll have a lot of fun here today. So let's go into what is it. You know what customer service is. You treat your customers with respect. You're polite, you're punctual, and all those kinds of things. You do nice things for your customers. Pre-customer service is doing the same thing, but you do it for people who aren't your customers yet. It's a pretty simple concept. Since they're not your customers yet, you're going to have to reach out to them. The word out is in capital letters because it suggests that this is going to take some effort. And this is one of the things that as business owners we tend to not have a lot of available, which is effort, because we're spending all of our effort on other things, just trying to keep the boat steady and deal with problems and all those kinds of things. And I understand, and I don't want to discount and minimize the fact that it's hard to do stuff like this, but I want to encourage you to take effort to do something like this, okay? So let's take a look at what the mindset is that you're going to have to get. So there's 4 points here. The first one is lifetime value. And I'm going to tell you, you can afford a lot more than you think on marketing if you understand the lifetime value. Let's go back to the company that does computer repair and so forth. In their business model, if they got a customer on a monthly contract to do maintenance for their network, it was worth something like an average of $1,200 per month. Now, because the fact is that most of these guys were doing the work themselves, it was all profit. So it was a really good deal, maybe a little bit of hard costs on that. But even at, let's say, $1,000 a month profit, it's a $12,000 a month client. And the holy grail for these guys is to go out there and get, you know, something like 10 of these customers on these contracts. So now you've got 10 customers, you're making $10,000 a month, and you know, maybe that's enough to make the money that you need to make, and maybe it's not. Maybe you want more than that, but that's a good, solid business, and you can easily do that within the framework of a 30-month day. It's not too many to overwhelm you, and it's a great business. But most of the guys didn't have 10 customers. Well, if you're going to get a $12,000 a year client that's going to last, typically their clients last, you know, years and years and years, maybe 5 years is $70,000 or $100,000, who knows? How much can you afford to go out and get that? That's why this postcard mailing campaign, after 10 mailings, and it doesn't work, so to speak, is not the right way to interpret that data. You've got to understand it's going to take some time to root these people out of their current mindset and relationships. And one of the ways that we're going to do it is pre-customer service. We're going to go out to them. Not only are we going to spend the money in the mailbox, we're going to spend the money in the, what do they call it, the shoe tread and the tire tread, and pressing the flesh and talking to people and getting in front of people, okay? But you can spend a lot more than you think if you really just think through your numbers. There's a whole other topic that we're not going to get into in a tremendous amount of detail, but it's called allowable marketing cost per sale. How much money can you afford to spend to accrue an average customer? And the bottom line is you can probably spend a lot more than you think, so you got to think about that. Reciprocity is number 2. Putting deposits into the emotional bank account. If you do something for somebody without asking for, requiring, or accepting pay, then it is going to inherently, by definition, create a reciprocity type of scenario. Think about the kid mowing the lawn for Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson, I refuse to accept payments. I won't even take a tip. You can't even hand me a lemonade. Okay, maybe a lemonade. But I'm going to do this absolutely free of charge. We now own Mr. Johnson, and he knows it, and we know it, and that's part of how this whole thing works. You say, well, that's a little bit, manipulative. Okay, well, fine, it's manipulative. I don't know if it's manipulative or not. It's called the way that the world works, so let's take advantage of the rules of the way that the world works, right? I jump off a cliff into a river for fun, and I know that gravity is going to pull me down into the river. It's called the way that the world works. Gravity pulls you down into the river, and reciprocity makes people want to give you stuff. I don't know if I feel comfortable with that, Rich. Well, then go find something different to do. But the emotional bank account is fantastic, and it's even more heightened when it's a 13-year-old boy and a 42-year-old man that are making this sort of emotional transaction. But it doesn't have to be that way in your business, obviously, because you're probably the 42-year-old man or woman or whatever the case is. But we can still deposit into the emotional bank account, okay? You understand how that works? The value of a prospect list. This is key. This is something that people just don't understand. They don't put enough value into this. So let me give you a scenario to help you understand this. Let's say that you owned, well, let me think about this for a minute. What example do I want to give you? Okay, so let's use the example of Netflix. They've been in the news lately. Last year they changed their pricing strategy and they lost a lot of customers, and their stock went from $300 per share down to $60-something per share, and they got all kinds of crap because they, killed their stock, right? So think about this. What is the value of a company like Netflix? How do you value that? Well, there's a couple of things that you can value. Number one, you can value the subscriber base. And they've got, I don't know what it is, maybe 20 million subscribers or something like that. They've lost some in the fallout of that debacle, but they've gained some back, so their stock's gone back up a little bit. But nevertheless, one of the things that's a major thing that you can value is their customer base, their subscriber base. That's obvious. Any company has a customer base that is an asset to that company. So if you were going to sell your company, and your company was Netflix, there's going to be a value inherently in that customer base. Or if you had stock value, there's a stock value inherent with that customer base. Well, what other kinds of assets do they have? Well, for Netflix, one of the assets they have is they have content licensing deals with content providers so that they can provide it via streaming to their customer base. And these are contracts, many of them exclusive, many of them very expensive, but they're assets, even though they're things that have to be paid for and they cost money. It's a definite asset to this company. It's part of their business model. So if you were valuing your company, part of the value of the company would be the value of those contracts that you have with those content providers. Okay, are you with me so far? And you're kind of maybe saying, what are you getting at here? Well, here's what I'm getting at next, and here's the key point. Have you ever seen an ad for Netflix before? Have you ever seen a pop-up on your computer screen for Netflix? I have, about 40 billion times. Have you ever heard an ad for it? Have you ever seen it on the TV? Have you heard it on the radio? Have you seen it in your newspaper? I don't have any idea how much money that company spends on marketing, but I know this, it's a lot. It's a lot of money. And my question to you is there value as a purchaser of a company in the relationship that they have with their prospective customers that has been built up over time through advertising? And the answer is definitely yes. Now, Netflix is a good example because they're fairly high profile in terms of advertising. Think about other companies that you're familiar with, large national companies. Companies like Hyundai is a good example. They do a lot of advertising. They're going to probably be on the Super Bowl, probably unveiling some very innovative, cool thing this Sunday. So watch it and see how that goes. But here's the point. There's value in the marketing because it brings awareness and understanding to the marketplace that can have a value attached to it. Now, let's look at the other side of the coin. What if you don't have any communication with your potential customers? You don't engage in marketing at all. And you now go to sell your company. Can you claim that there's value in the marketplace because of the number and quantity of people that know you and are familiar familiar with you? And the answer is, of course, you can't. Now, let's take the case of the computer company, okay? Stick with me on this. This is good stuff, and I want you to really internalize this, and hopefully what you're doing is you're throwing all of these scenarios against your own wall, and you're seeing how it applies to your own company, okay? So now let's take this little computer company. They've got, let's say, 2,500 businesses in their marketplace, but let's say only 1,000 of those are truly good prospects that can buy some of their more expensive, more valuable types of services. So out of the 2,500, we got 1,000, and we start to mail to them every week. And we do that for 2 weeks, and then we quit. And a year later, we decide to sell the business. Is there any value in that in the marketplace? And the answer is no. Now, let's look at a different scenario. Let's say that that same company started a mailing campaign, and they were mailing all 1,000 businesses, and they did it 2 times a week, and they had been doing it for 5 years. And you come in and you're looking at buying this business. Let's say that the revenues of the 2 businesses are exactly the same. The contracts of the 2 businesses are exactly the same. But the one company has a 5-year track record of mailing their prospective customers 2 times per year. Meanwhile, the other business that's the similar business that's for sale has the same prospect base, but they have not invested any time, effort, or money into that. Is there a difference in the value of those companies and in those relationships? And the answer, it's obvious, I hope it's obvious, is absolutely. Absolutely, there's a difference. Think about it on a more personal relationship standpoint. Is there a value in relationships with your children or with your friends that you stay in constant communication with versus those that you don't? Think about Facebook. It's about to go public here, and it's going to go for about $100 billion, so that's interesting. Think about what that has allowed you to do. It has allowed you to take relationships that have very likely been dormant in your life for years and years and years. I'll tell you who one of the relationships I have is with a kid named John Milburn. I knew him in grade school. His dad was my soccer coach for about 5 seasons, and John was the goalie, and he was not really what I'd call a good friend of mine, but a kid that I knew, you know, we lived in my neighborhood. I knew him. We were friendly. He was on my soccer team. And now he's on my Facebook. And I hear from him 2, 3, 4 times a week. And my sister who lives in Atlanta, who I otherwise would only see on holidays and rare occasions, I now hear from her. I'm trying to get you to understand this concept, and please forgive me for going into these sort of obtuse seeming examples, but I want you to understand the value of relationships are so valuable, and especially when they're consistently nurtured. The relationship with your friend who you haven't seen in 30 years or your sister who you only see rarely can be enhanced dramatically when you now have an ability to have communication with them on a consistent level through something like Facebook, or in a business relationship through mailing, and now also through higher level stuff. Think about the relationships you have, the ones that are more special and more valuable to you on a personal friendship type of basis. If you've got a good friend, isn't that somebody that when they have a baby, you bring them food, or if they have a problem, you put your arm around them and comfort them, or you give them a phone call, or you send them a thank you note after they send you a gift for your birthday, or these types of things versus relationships that aren't quite as close? And what I'm encouraging you to do, and hopefully you're hearing me loud and clear, is I'm saying build these relationships with your prospective customers. We can do it through traditional marketing. We can do it through the mail, and that's good. But let's take this analogy just to the final conclusion, and then we'll move on to the examples. And the final conclusion is this. If we have no relationship or very, very, very sporadic, non-consistent communication with somebody in a personal level, then the relationship goes cold. If it's a guy named John Milburn, it may be cold for 25 years until something called Facebook is invented. And it doesn't mean that I'm best friends with him now, and I don't even know where he lives, and I don't have any interest in meeting him and seeing him, but there's this relationship there. On the other hand, I've got my sister who I now see more often, and I've got friends that I see more often through Facebook. But think about this. Is there value in reaching out? And in a personal relationship, the answer is, of course. And those things that I just talked about, whether it's going to a movie or sending a thank you card or sending a casserole over, or flowers if someone's loved one dies, whatever the case is. And it's so obvious in that realm. Yet in the business realm, we tend to think it's a different thing and that relationships are somehow different, but they're not. It's called people. And I'm encouraging you to look at your business and say, what could I do to forge a relationship with somebody? Think about if you moved into a new town and you didn't really know anybody, and so you got involved in the PTA, and you found a church that you liked that you could meet some people, and you got involved in maybe scouting or soccer or basketball with your kids, and maybe you joined the local chamber of commerce so you could get involved with people. Think about this. And again, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but I want you to understand the concept is called relationships, okay? So you can get involved in those things, but once you get involved, you have a choice to make in how you involve yourself. You can passively go to church. You can passively attend the PAC meeting. You can passively be a parent at the basketball game. You can even passively be a coach who has the kids but doesn't involve yourself with the other parents. You can passively be a member of the Chamber of Commerce, or you can be that person that reaches out and gets to know people and invites people over to your house and does write those little thank you cards that make such a big difference in forming these relationships. So here's all I'm saying. You can actively or passively participate, and I'm asking you in your business to actively participate because the things will work exactly the same, okay? Your prospect list is or should be one of your biggest assets in your company. One of the biggest. You say, oh, no, it's my customer base. Well, if you do your marketing right, it's not going to just be your customers. It's going to be your future customers, okay? Now, here's the last point, and I know we're kind of belaboring this, but you know what? That's what I do. I belabor stuff because I got to make the point. Allocation of marketing dollars. My job here is to make you think. That's it. If you don't think, if I just go through some stupid presentation and then we all go our merry ways, I fail. I want you to think about this stuff, okay? Allocation of marketing dollars. This is a key point. Not all marketing dollars have to be, quote, unquote, for ads or for your website. Marketing dollars can be spent on other stuff besides just your ads and your websites, okay? So let's think about that. I want you to write these 4 things down before we go on, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not going to ask you to do something that I'm not willing or thinking is a good idea for myself, so let me write this down because I'm going to refer back to this like 750 times, okay? Think I've beaten a dead horse so far? You haven't seen nothing yet. Lifetime value. Number 2, reciprocity. Number 3, value of prospect list. Should have got a bigger piece of paper. And number 4, allocation of marketing dollars. Okay, if you did not write that stuff all down just now, what are you doing? Come on, write it down. All right, so let's go to strategy number 1. It's called carve out some time. And you know what? Sometimes you just have to carve out time. Again, let's keep thinking in terms of relationships, personal relationships. If you want relationships to be good, you just have to carve out some time. You have to take time to bring the casserole to the person. You have to carve out the time to go to the movie with the friend. You have to make time to prepare dinner for the people that you invited over to your house, okay? Or if it's a relationship with your spouse, you have to take time to write the card and drop the dumb thing in the mail so that the next day she actually gets it in the mailbox. Because they don't just appear by themselves. You have to do this. Carve out some time. Here's what I mean specifically in your case. Carve out some time each week to offer your services for free or to use your excess capacity. Now, this is an interesting thing, especially for those of you who maybe have smaller businesses and maybe are, not super busy. What a great opportunity to take and convert your time into marketing dollars. You say, well, I don't even have any dollars for marketing. Okay, great, because what you do have, you have time. It would be like if you started a barber shop and nobody's coming in, well, why not offer free haircuts? Now, I'm not telling you go offer a free haircut, but here's what I am saying. This is good for service providers. Let's say you do swimming pool repair or HVAC repair. If you've got extra time, why not go around and knock doors and say, you know what, we charge $99 to do a heater repair, a heater tune-up, and we're in the neighborhood and we've got some extra time that we've got nothing else going on right now, so we thought we'd come in and instead of charging $99, we'll just do it for free. You say, well, I don't know if I want to do that. Well, here's the thing, a couple things. Pay very close attention to these couple things. Thing number 1, If you truly have excess capacity, what else are you going to do? Sit there and play Zynga games on your phone? You get to do a little Farmville on your iPad while you're waiting around? Come on, do something productive. Number two, even if you don't have excess capacity, let's look at what might happen. If I do this, let's say that I've got AC technicians, and I schedule them up and I say, look, I need you to perform one free tune-up every single day. Go knock the neighbor's doors. If you don't get one, keep going until you do. You're not going to get a paycheck unless you do 5 per week, 20 per month. Now, it's going to cost me money to have this technician do that, right? I'm paying this guy some kind of a salary, some kind of a per job. Maybe I've got to pay him. But let's think about it. I'm going to go spend money on the radio, in the newspaper, on the Valpak. I'm going to put a Groupon out there, all these different things that I'm going to do to try to get business. Why not have my guys, you say, well, they don't have time to do that. Well, hire more guys. And then remember point number 4, allocation of marketing dollars. I don't have to spend my marketing dollars on a freaking advertisement. I can spend some of my marketing dollars on that guy's time to go out and perform that service. Why not? Well, I don't know. I wouldn't want to do that. Well, let's look at the lifetime value of the customer. Is it high? Yes. Let's look at the reciprocity that's going to come from me doing this for free. Is it high? Yes. Have I deposited into the emotional bank account? Yes. The value of the prospect list, does it become strong? Yes. And now allocating those marketing dollars. Do you see how this works? It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. Haircut store. I guess it's called a barber or a stylist. I don't know what you call that. They could do the same kind of thing. Auto dealer service department. These guys are sitting around waiting all the time for people to come in, and they always say things like, you got to do your service with the service department where you bought your car, and we always look at it and go, why? Well, because it's a Lexus, and yeah, I can only get Lexus certified quality. Okay, yeah, but I drive a Toyota. It's not that big of a deal. Well, what if these auto dealers reached out to the local neighborhood? Do you know that I don't live anywhere close to a dealership? I hate going to a dealership because I'm far away. Well, what if they reached out to the people that lived in the immediate vicinity who was very convenient for them to go and said, look, bring your car over. We're going to do this checkup, and we're going to do it for free. So I don't want to give that away for free. We want to charge money for that. Well, I get it, but we're allocating those dollars to marketing. You're going to spend marketing dollars, and that's not going to be free, right? You're going to spend money on that. Why not spend money on getting a guy in there? See, it's so inexpensive to do it. And if it's done in an earnest way, and it's done in a believable way, and it's done in a way that's real and not bull crap, you know what I'm talking about when I say bull crap. I'm talking about those stupid offers that sound phony. They're not real. You got to buy something, or it's something free, but it's not really worth anything. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the real freaking McCoy here, where you give them something of real value. Bring your car to my dealership. We're going to check all of the shocks and brakes and struts. We're going to change your oil. We're going to top off your fluids, and we're going to make sure that your car is in tip-top shape. Oh, and guess what's going to happen when they do that? They're going to find stuff that's broken. They're going to make little notes in their computer, and then they're going to market to you later. Do you actually truly need those repairs later? Of course you do. If you do find that you have a repair that's needed later, where are you more likely to go based on the second principle that I put on our list that I forced you to write down, which is called reciprocity? Hopefully this is super simple and you understand how this works. I don't need to belabor it, but hopefully you see this is cool stuff, okay? The lawn service, the landscaping, we already talked about that. You say, well, I own a window company. I don't know how this could work. Well, okay. How much does a window cost you? Now, let me tell you how this works, okay? Let me tell you what I know about this. I know a little bit about the window business, and I know that windows typically cost about $200 to $300 to install one, okay? Let's say it's $300. That's a lot of money, but here's what else I know. I know that leads cost $200 or $300 for just a freaking lead. Why not give a guy a window? Here's what I did not just tell you to do, to base your entire business on giving a guy a window. But if you look at the math, let's look at the math. Let's look at the math. It's super simple math. The math works like this. it's going to cost you 200, let's just say 300 because it makes the math easier. Maybe you can dispute this later with me. It's going to cost you $300 for a lead. True enough? Great. $300 for a lead. Now, if it costs you $300 for a lead and you close 20%, that means that it's going to cost you for 10 leads $3,000, and you're going to close 2 deals that are going to be worth $6,000 each, which is $12,000, which means that you now have a 25% cost of advertising against those sales. Okay? Now, let's say that you went into a neighborhood where you knew they needed windows, and you went to them and said, look, here's how this works. See this window sample right here? Let me measure one of your windows, and we're going to come and put one of these in for free. Here's well, what's the catch? Well, there's no catch. It's going to be free. Well, why would you do that? Well, because maybe you need more windows later. Maybe you don't. I don't really know. I don't even really care. I just want to give you a free window. Are you that opposed to me giving you something for free? You say, well, I don't know if we could do that. I can't afford that. Well, I don't know. Let's review our little list here. Let's see. Lifetime value. How much is that customer worth to you? $6,000. Reciprocity. Will they be favorably impressed? Yes. Value of the prospect list. Now we can start marketing to these people that we gave the free windows to. Allocation of marketing dollars. You say, well, that's the dumbest idea I ever heard in my life, Rich. Well, sorry, not every idea can be brilliant, but I think that one's pretty darn good. Here's what you can do. You can continue to pour an endless funnel of money down the toilet on crap that doesn't work, or you can try that. How hard would that be to try? And this is going to be a cousin to our next strategy here in a minute. We're going to talk about free stuff a little bit more. Let's talk about bringing it to them. Stuff people normally have to go get, bring it to them for free. This is a cousin to carving it out. This is the dentist or the chiropractor, okay? So you can't force people into the dentist chair because they have to go there, or the chiropractor. But how many people have hurt backs or hurt things or things that could be fixed by the chiropractor? You say, well, I don't know, that's a lot. What if you went around and knocked doors? See, it's creepy when you knock people's doors because usually you're trying to sell them something. But what if you said, look, see that van sitting out there? And it's nice, it's big, and doesn't look like, you know, the Shaggin' Wagon or something that the creepy pedophile guy would be driving around. It's a normal, nice-looking graphics van, or it's, you know, an RV, something like that. And he said, look, that's our mobile chiropractic unit. We're over there on South Lake Boulevard normally, but we have this mobile unit. Maybe you've seen it sitting out there by Tom Thumb near our office. But what we do is every afternoon from 4 to 8 o'clock, we drive this around and we give people free adjustments. Do you have any back problems? We'd like to give you a free adjustment. All you have to do is sign this waiver because we don't want you to sue us. But yeah, we'll give you a free adjustment. We've got x-ray equipment out here. You say, well, can you have mobile x-ray? Of course you can have mobile x-ray. And we're going to give you an adjustment. Would you like for us to do that? Or you can continue to pour money into worthless crap that doesn't work, that doesn't get patients. Why wouldn't you do that? You say, well, people don't want to talk to me. I knock on their door, they're going to tell me no. Of course they're going to tell you no. But if you knock on their door and say, hey, we're over in South Lake by Tom Thumb, would you like to come in? Here's a coupon. Come in and get an adjustment. They're going to slam the door and you think you're a jerk with fuller brushes in your backpack. But if you come out and say, see that van, we'd like to give anybody in your family that has problems, if you've got back problems, if you've got headaches, if you've got problems with things like ADD or female problems or any of these other kinds of things that they can actually help with, come on out. We'll do an adjustment right now. We'll give you an evaluation. We'll let you know where your health is. We'll let you know where your problems is. We'll give you an adjustment to see if it makes you feel better. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But it's free. You see how this works? You say, well, I'm not a chiropractor. I can't do that. Man, don't say that to me. Don't even get me started, okay? The car wash. You say, well, how can I bring a car wash to somebody? It's Mustang Elite Car Wash. It's over on Highway 26. That's the closest one to my house. It's probably like 4 or 5 miles from here. Well, what if they came out to my neighborhood and in the little parking lot over by the community swimming pool? We're in Texas. We got community swimming pools. And they set it up, and they could actually do it as a charity where they get the local soccer team or band booster club or Boy Scout troop to administer car wash under the banner of Mustang Elite, knowing full well that it's not the actual true Mustang Elite, but we'll give you free car wash. You can donate to the Cub Scouts if you want. You don't have to, whatever. Or we'll donate $10 for every car wash that you get. And get people to say, oh, this is Mustang Elite. They're here. They're giving me this car wash. Here's a free chamois that we'll give you after so you can, wash your own car, whatever. Get out there. Don't just pass it. Here's what people do, and it drives me nuts. They sit back in their stupid little store, their stupid little company, their stupid little shop with their stupid little website and their stupid little Valpak and their stupid little marketing and their stupid little postcards then they get pissed off when they send them out and it doesn't work, and it's my fault because I'm the marketing guy and it didn't work. And I'm like, well, what else are you doing? You're just sitting there waiting for crap to happen, and you're not getting out there and doing anything. Well, I thought the marketing was supposed to work. Yeah, it is. But the guy lives 5 miles from your house. He doesn't even know you exist. Well, I sent him a mailer. Yeah, but he doesn't want to drive all the way over there until he knows what you are and what you can do. So get out there and grab him by the collar and wash his stupid car. Do it by hand. Say, hey, you know what? We've got 6 guys in this neighborhood washing cars in driveways right now. We're Mustang Elite. Let us wash your car right now. And, oh, what's the lifetime value? Is there reciprocity involved? What's the value of that prospect on the mailing list now instead of when he was cold? And can you allocate your marketing dollars to that instead of some asinine thing that you're probably doing now? And the answer is probably. Okay, you see how this works at the donut shop? If you remember, this is years ago now. I did the local business marketing webinar. I think we're going to redo it here in a couple months. But the donut shop, you could sit in your stupid little shop with your stupid little donuts and your stupid little drink cooler, or you could take boxes of donuts as a matter of systemization, and every day you could go house to house, you could go business to business, you could deliver, and I think I call it the 5-5-50 plan. 5 dozen donuts, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year, out into the local community, giving them to businesses, and use those dollars that it cost the guy to go hand them out and that it costs to make the donuts and allocate it to marketing. And your logical conclusion to that story is, yeah, but I don't do donuts. Well, what do you do? Let's talk about it, because I'd love to talk to you about your business, because this can be done for kind of any business. But you have to think different. You have to have a better mindset than you have to now. You have to be willing to get out there. Okay, the flower shop. I mean, I don't even have to go through the flower shop now, do I? Is it obvious what the flower shop would do? We can sit around in our stupid shop with our stupid flower. Okay, I'm not going to go through that again. Prepare meals, so I don't want to go through that example. Let's go to number 3. Strategy number 3, send in the dogs. This is like a puppy dog close, but instead just send them the dog without them asking. Now, if you know what the puppy dog close is in sales, it's where you say, oh, well, you take your daughter into the pet shop and she sees the little puppy, and she's like, oh, it's so cute, I want to buy this puppy. And you're like, I don't know, I got to walk the thing, clean up its poop, and feed it, and all this stupid stuff that I don't really want to deal with. And the pet shop owner, being very smart, says, oh, well, just take the dog home for 2 or 3 days, see how you like it. And if it's too much hassle, if it's too much poop, if it's too much feeding, if it's too much walking, then just bring it back, and it's no problem. That's the puppy dog close. Of course, when you get the dog home, your daughter falls in love. The minute you try to take it back, she bursts into tears. She says that you hate her and all those kinds of things, which are probably true if you try to take a dog away from a child. And it's called the puppy dog close. It's called, here, take it for a few days. But I'm taking it to another level and saying, instead of saying, here, have it for a few days, I'm saying just send something to somebody without their even ever having asked for it and saying, here, I want you to have this. This came up about 2 or 3 years ago at an aerial photography company. It was an insider member, okay? If you think this stuff doesn't apply to you, then think about this. What a weird business. They took aerial photographs of golf courses, and then they would try to sell these golf courses merchandise and things that had the picture on it. Like here's a big photograph, or a big what do you call it? Framed print of our golf course. They wanted to sell that because you're maybe a member of that golf course and you want to let everyone know this is my golf course, and you put it on your wall. Or maybe they have a hole-in-one thing, and they have a picture of that hole that you give to the people that get holes-in-ones, or different things that people would want to have a picture of a golf course on. And I said, well, how's that going? They said, well, it's not going that well. Well, tell me about how you sell. Well, we go and we do the photography, and then we go show them stuff and see if they want to buy it. I said, why would you do that? Why would you go see if they want to buy it? You're going to be flying over and taking the pictures of the golf course anyway, right? Yeah. In fact, we've already got an inventory of like 5,000 golf courses that we've done. Okay. And then what happens when you walk in? Well, some people want to buy some people take a trial order. A lot of people say, well, I don't know, I don't really want to do it. I said, okay, why don't you do this? Why don't you find the top 10 or 15 or 20 different products, whether it be a full-blown, picture of the golf course, frame, print, whatever, or a little teeny, whatever the top products are that you sell for your customers that do buy from you, And why don't you create an inventory of that stuff and just send it over to the golf course and say, hey, we took pictures of your golf course, and I don't know if you're interested in this stuff or not, but here is $3,000 at retail worth of stuff, and then they could handle that a couple of different ways. Here's $3,000 at retail, and you can sell it and pay us the wholesale price after you sell it, so that's kind of a consignment deal. Or for the first $3,000, you can just keep all the money. Now, who that owns the golf course is going to receive the $3,000 at retail merchandise and say, well, this sucks, send it back, I don't want it? Well, probably 1 or 2 out of 10. Here's what that means. 8 or 9 out of 10 kept it and either sold it and sent us money or just sold it and then reordered later. But let's review our little list that hopefully you wrote down. What is the lifetime value of that customer? It's tremendous. Is there reciprocity when you just send them out stuff? Is there value in the prospect list? Is it easier to market to them now? And what about the allocation of the marketing dollars? Now, here's what we could do. We could send out a little postcard mailer. Hey, look at our mailers. Hey, look at these pictures. Why don't you buy some of these? Oh, it's accelerated discontentment. Let's send it to them every week for 5 years and see if they buy. Yes, that's fine. But let's get crap in their hands, man. Come on. Let's be a little smarter about this. DVR company, oh my gosh, this is a client of mine 2 years ago. They created the most unbelievable DVR. It was awesome, really, really awesome. It's called Moxie. And it competed against TiVo, right? You know what TiVo is, okay? So it competed against TiVo. And one of their main selling points was, we don't charge any monthly fees. You buy a TiVo, it's going to cost you $300, and they're going to charge you $13 a month to use this stupid thing. But ours costs more up front, but it's a better DVR, and there's no monthly fees. Once you buy it, you own it, no monthly fees, ever, period. Well, here's what people thought when they saw that. First of all, we know what a TiVo is, but we never heard of a Moxie. Number two, it's $800, and TiVo's only $300 or $400, so there is monthly fees, but, you know, it's going to take me 2-3 years. And I said, why don't you play, if you can't beat them, join them, and instead of giving them the $800 DVR with no fees, why don't you give them one for free, $0, and charge $20 a month? People don't care about $20 a month. Trust me, they don't care about $20 a month. I've got 13-year-old kids in my house that pay that much a month to be on stupid Xbox Live. They got no money. They had to beg it and fight it in cushions and use dad's credit card, all kinds of stupid things. And you're telling me that a guy won't pay $20 a month to own the most cool DVR that he paid nothing for up front, especially if you package it with, I don't know, let's say Netflix? Oh. Send in the docs. Just send it out. So one of the strategies there is you can advertise free DVR. Another one is you just go to the neighborhoods where you want and you just send it out to people. Say, hey, look, here's free DVR. If you want it, it's $20 a month. If you don't, send it back. We don't care. Toner cartridges. I just got to calm down here. I get a little fired up on this stuff. Toner cartridges. It goes years back. We had this client of ours that sold these things, and they were trying to market them. Oh, ours are better, ours are better. You know, buy ours, buy ours, buy ours. I said, why don't you just give them to people? Cost them like $9 to make and send a cartridge. I said, why don't you do this? Next time you have a delivery of cartridges, have a bunch of extra ones in your van that delivers them, walk into with a huge, what do you call that thing, the dolly, stack up like maybe 5 or 10 of the most common kinds of toner cartridges, the HP 95A, 98A, whatever they were back then. I don't know what they are. I don't pay that close attention to cartridges anymore. But walk in with a full dolly of them and go to the company next door and say, hey, we're in the neighborhood. We're delivering cartridges over here. And, hey, we want to give you a couple free cartridges. What do you use? I've got a whole thing here. Choose any 2 of these you want right here. Go for it. What do you want? Now, let's review our list. Lifetime value of the customer, high. Reciprocity, high. Value of the prospect list. Do they recognize you more now when you go to market to them? Yes. Allocation of your marketing dollars. This is going to cost us $18 to do that. Well, how much money would I spend trying to get this customer? See, all of this is testable. All of this is something you could do on a small scale. Marketing consulting, ad writing. We told our consultants back in the day when we were doing a lot of training and marketing consultants, go out and write ads for companies. Just write them. Oh, I got to get paid for that. No, you don't. Nobody knows you. You suck right now. Go write an ad, give it to a guy, tell him he can have it. Whoa, that would take too much time and effort. That would devalue us. Yeah, but right now you're getting paid nothing. So how are we going to devalue if your value is already nothing? Negative value? I don't think so. All right. Strategy 4, free means free. Send vouchers for a free product or service with no string attached. Now, see, these are all kind of similar, right? But I want you to just look at it from a few different angles. That's why I break it up into 8 different strategies. Okay. Now, first of all, I would say this is different than the send in the dogs, because we're not actually going to send the stuff. We're going to send a voucher. Now, maybe we could send some stuff, so it's the same thing, but let's talk about vouchers. Now, I got this idea at Costco. You guys use Costco? So I was at Costco, and they've got gift cards. Like there's a movie theater near my house. It's called Harkins Theater. It's really nice. It's the one that we like to go to if we have a choice. I guess we always have a choice which theater we go to. So it's Harkins, okay? And you can buy discounted movie tickets for Harkins Theater at Costco. But you don't just buy the tickets. They've got this display of these ginormous mammoth gift cards that are, I don't know, maybe 18 by 24 inches or some such, and they're thick cardboard, and you take it up to the register, it's got a barcode on it, and they scan it, and that's how you buy it. Now, you don't actually keep the big, huge gift card. You give it back to them. They go put it back on the display for the next guy, and they've got several of these types of things going on over there. It's not just for Harkins. It's for several things that they sell gift cards for. And I thought, what a cool idea to get a big, fat, freaking gift card and go hand it out to somebody. Visual impact is huge, right? So we talked about this with our box company friend, Vanna Box, David Banker. Said, here's what you should do. You're trying to get these big customers. Go hand to them every month a $1,000 Vanna gift card, but make sure it's a big freaking 18 by 24 or whatever that size is gift card, and just hand it to them. And on the fine print on the front of it, it should say, this gift card is good for $1,000 of free boxes. There is no limitation, and you are allowed to add multiple gift cards together. So now you go hand them a $1,000 big fat gift card. The next month you go hand them another $1,000 big fat gift card. The next month you go hand them another $1,000 big fat gift card. After a while, after a year of this, a year and a half of this, they got $12,000, $18,000 worth of gift cards laying around. And they're going to start to look at them and go, wait a second, I got a lot of these things. I can use these for $24,000 worth of free boxes? And you look at them and you say, absolutely. And here's why. Because, number one, I understand the lifetime value of you as a $2 million a year account. Of course I'll give you $24,000 of free boxes. Are you freaking kidding me? I would love to give you $24,000 of free boxes, especially at my margins. It's only going to cost me 10, right? Reciprocity, high. Value of the prospect list. Is it now easier to market to this person? Yes. Allocation of marketing dollars. You see how this works? It's so easy. It's so simple, but it takes a little bit of creativity, and it takes a completely different mindset to pull it off. Printer repair company. Oh, I'm getting tired. I'm fatigued. It's already been an hour, but okay, we'll keep going. The printer repair company. This is an example I used in the 5 Biggest Marketing Mistakes CD. This is a guy that does printer repair for point-of-sale equipment. So, like, if you ever go to Target and you get a receipt, this company repairs the receipt printers for companies that have multiple locations. So I think one of their biggest customers was like La Quinta Hotels, and I think it was National or Hertz, one of the rental car companies, Budget Trucks, Penske Trucks, something like that. So you get an idea. Well, they're trying to break into these markets that are established by companies like EDS, IBM, companies that are very large, don't perform particularly well, but they have a stranglehold on the market share just because they're big and their customers have always done business with them. And I said, instead of offering them, you know, whatever they're offering now, hey, do your printer repair with us, I said, send them a voucher for whatever it is, $5,000 a month, and just keep sending these things. What do you care? Your job is to get customers, and if it takes getting a little bit creative and giving away a little bit up on the front end relative to the lifetime value of the customer, do it. Plastic surgeon, we use this with success with a plastic surgeon in Washington, D.C. We gave away, what was it? It was some kind of a, it was a facial. Come in, we'll give you a facial, then we can, you know, scope you out for other things you might need. Graphic designer. I don't necessarily need to go into detail with this stuff, do I? Delivery services, couriers, roofers. Let me tell you about the roofer worst leak. I got so many stories I can't tell them all. So the roofer, This is Castro Roofing here in Dallas. Sat down with these guys. They're commercial roofer, not residential. And they have the most unbelievable ability to fix leaks. You would think that any roofer could fix leaks, but as it was explained to me and as I came to realize and understand and believe, most roofers actually don't fix leaks very well. They can fix the simple ones, but any large entity like a school district or a landlord that owns multiple commercial office buildings, they're going to have leaks that they just can't fix, that nobody can fix, and they become unfixable leaks. And this is a company that could go in and it could actually detect and fix those leaks. Now, I know that sounds so straightforward and simple, but just go with me on this and believe me that most roofers, 99%, have leaks that they can't fix. They just can't, but this company can. And I said, okay, why don't you go in and instead of trying to sell them on something or trying to get them to understand who you are, we've got this accelerated discontentment, we're doing these mailers over and over and over and over again, and that's good, but why don't you go in and say, look, I know you've got a leak that you can't fix. I know you've got one somewhere in your school district. I know you've got somewhere in your municipality. Maybe it's a city and they've got multiple buildings, right? Or I know that you're a landlord and you've got multiple office buildings, and I know you've got leaks that have been there for years. In the city of Mesquite here in the Dallas area is a good example. The city of Mesquite had a leak that had been going on for 20 years, and they would pull out, every time it would rain, they would pull out the cones and they would put it around this area. They put a bucket under it. They just couldn't fix it. It was just unfixable, and they'd just come to grips with that. And they walk into the city of Mesquite and say, look, I don't want your roofing business. What I want is your worst leak. We want to fix your worst leak. And in fact, if we can't fix your worst leak, we'll pay you $5,000 cash. Now, this is an odd request because most people are coming in asking for money, but now somebody's coming in, and not only are they not asking for money, they're asking to solve my worst problem, and they're offering to pay me if they can't. Does this approach work? Yes, it works, man. You better believe it works. So, well, that doesn't work for me because I'm not a roofer. Well, have you been paying any attention today? Okay, great approach. All right, number 5 is free niceties. Have stuff available for free that makes people want to stop in. So what we're talking about here is not giving them the service of the product for free, but just having nice things available for free so that people would want to stop in. Okay, this is something that we did. I invented this strategy in 1992 when I was working at a hardware store in Provo, Utah when I was going to college at BYU. And I worked there, and I quickly started putting my marketing skills into place, even though I was just an idiot kid. But the owner was a guy named Chris Ashby, and I noticed that he had this cooler of drinks, and people would come in, and he would charge them 50 cents for drinks. And he would also charge them $1 for keys. I said, Chris, why don't you give those sodas away for free so that all the contractors in the area, which is his biggest customer base was contractors, okay, homeowners would come in there, yes, but contractors were his most consistent, most reliable, most biggest dollar customers. I said, why don't you make it known throughout the entire contractor network of this area that they can stop in anytime they want and get a free soda. And they're going to cost you, what, maybe 15 or 20 cents each, depending if you buy them on sale over at Costco or if you have the Coke guy deliver them, whatever the case is. And maybe it's going to take some extra storage space in the back, and you're going to have to refill that cooler. Or maybe you make it so that you fill the cooler once a day, and when they're gone, and there's no more kind of a thing. Who knows? But why not get the contractors in the habit of stopping in your store? And if they understand that it's socially acceptable to literally just stop in, grab a drink, and leave, okay, and you encourage that behavior, not discourage, which is the normal human nature thing to want to do. Well, you can get a free drink, but you better buy something. No. I want you to just stop in and grab a drink and leave. You don't even have to say hello. You don't have. You act like you own this place. Would it make a difference? Well, if it costs you, let's say, 20 cents per can, and you have 200 a day come in, that's going to cost you $40. And you do that 6 days a week, and you do that 4 weeks out of the month, it's going to cost you $1,000 a month. Now, remember, it's only going to cost you $1,000 if you're actually giving away 200 a day. And therefore, it's working. Why wouldn't you do that? You see how this works? This is cool stuff, right? Hopefully, you're sitting there going, well, gosh darn it, Rich, this is cool stuff. Krispy Kreme, they used to give away the free donut. You could just walk in and get a free donut. They quit giving away. Their stock went to the crapper. Okay? Bank. Let's go look at the last one on this one. Residential real estate. This seems very, non-intuitive. What if you had a residential real estate company that had an office on a main road, but you don't walk into real estate offices. You just don't unless you need real estate. But what if you made it known through your advertising and other things that you did that you could stop in any time and you could get candy for your kids, or you could get a soda, or you could get a donut or a cookie or whatever. And this just became known. And you had people stopping in at your office at odd hours of the day, and now the kids start to figure this out, right? If you follow me much, you know that I'm big on giving kids candy because it's a way to hook people into stuff. And now you drive by, and every time you drive by, your kids are going to be begging you for candy, and since it's free, you're like, crap, yeah, I'll go get some free candy. Guess what happens when you need to sell your house? All that stupid free candy that they gave you comes right back into their pocket. Because let's look at our little list here. What's the lifetime value of the customer? Well, let's say that the average home in this neck of the woods is $500,000. $500,000 times 3% commission is a $15,000 commission, my friend. Reciprocity, heck yeah. Value of prospect, Allocation of marketing dollars, how much is it going to cost you to keep your free candy, free donut, free whatever thing going in your little office there? Oh my gosh. See how this works? It's pretty cool. Number 6, free consultation. Offer a free consultation. Make sure the prospect walks out with something valuable, okay? The more tangible that they walk out with, the better. Closet organization company could do free virtual makeover. Hey, we're just in your neighborhood. We want to come in, take a look at your closet. We'll give you a printout of what your closet could look with. There's no obligation. You don't have to buy anything from us. In fact, we're never going to call you. We'll mail the crap out of you, but we're not going to call you. Weight loss clinic. Come in and get your customized weight loss program. We'll show you exactly where you're at, exactly what you need to do. We'll give you 3 different strategies for getting it done. 1 is a home-based strategy where you don't need any help from anybody. Number 2 is a support group-based version, and 3 is a doctor-supervised version. If you want to go with that route, great. If you don't, we don't care. See, if you allocate the dollars to marketing, then you really don't have to care. I mean, you care, but you don't have to. You don't have to say, well, we got to get people to do this. What if you just offered it as a service? What if you truly cared about people losing weight, and if they didn't want to come in or they couldn't afford to come in, you just wanted to help them out to the best of your ability anyway? Would there be anything so wrong with that? No, there wouldn't be anything so wrong with that. Okay, commercial roofer, siding, painting. I don't want to talk about that anymore. Let's go to number 7, information bearer. Make difficult to understand choices easy to understand by researching and publishing the report. You want this to be as objective as possible. Here's what this means. Do the homework for the customer. Home builders, okay? How many home builders are in your area that you're competing against? Well, there's 10. Well, what's the pros and cons of doing business with those 10 different home builders? The prospect doesn't know. They don't have time to figure it out. Even if they did have time to figure it out, they don't know the right questions to ask. You know, go put together, this is what we call in our pre-positioning webinar, we call it industry intelligence report. Put it together. Health insurance provider. Holy freaking crap. Have you ever bought health insurance before? What a cluster that is. Trying to figure out what the different deductibles are versus the health savings account and how many doctor's visits and what's the co-payment and all these things that just presses your brain into jello and you can't figure out anything. What if the health insurance provider, let's see, this actually would require them to offer good service and to have the best prices and the best, value. Daycare providers, auto repair facility, do the homework for the customer and make it available to them. Go pass it out. Send it out to them in the mail. Put it as an offer, whatever. Strategy number 8 is a hotline. Set up a hotline where people can call you and get information on a subject that's relevant to your business. The more objective, the better. What if you're a handyman? Set up a service where people can call you. Hey, I'm trying to fix my garbage disposal and I ran into this problem. Can you give me some advice? Yes, it's just advice. We'll give it to you. Hardware store. Come on in and ask us any question. Insurance sales. We just talked about that. It's kind of like a consultation, but you can call in. Marketing, advertising, wedding planners, catering. Okay, you get the idea here. Kind of going a little bit fast so we can accommodate and get through. By the way, every single person that's on the call has stuck with me. Nobody's dropped off. I appreciate that. No, we're going a little bit late. Number 9 is ongoing consultant. This is a valuable one for certain kinds of businesses. Send and make available information relevant to prospects on an ongoing basis. Okay, if you're in advertising sales, let's say you work for the local newspaper and you're trying to sell ads. Well, why not put together webinars and seminars and speakers and CDs and newsletters and send it to your prospects overtly. Send it out there. Bring it to them to teach them advertising, not just to sell them marketing, not just to sell them, advertising, but to educate them. Dell Computers, we worked with them for a while. They are very big into teacher integration with technology and putting on workshops and seminars, okay? So think about that. Here's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to pause. If you would like to ask me a question about your business, you can either raise your hand on the console or you can type in your question, and let's see if we can apply this stuff to your business if you want. You don't want to? Great. I'm going to go eat lunch. It's up to you. Okay? Questions? Bueller? I don't see any questions. Let's see if we got any hands raised. Okay, I'm going to give you the old going once, going twice, because I am actually ready for lunch, but maybe you're not. Okay, well, hey, thanks for participating today. This has been kind of a fun webinar. I really like this topic. I want you to think through it. If you have any questions on the back end, don't hesitate to email me. I'd be happy to discuss it with you, or maybe next week on the Tuesday morning ad clinic. Yeah, I hear you, Rich. You need more time. Well, you've had a whole hour to sit there and think about it. So if you have any questions, anything you want to run past me, feel free to email it to me later. Appreciate you being on the webinar today. Let's see what we've got next week. I think we've got a Tuesday morning ad clinic next Tuesday. So we'll talk to you then. Thanks so much. Appreciate your business. Bye now.
The organizer has